I like CEOs, and I like to work with CEOs who live the Molif motif, M-O-L-I-F. They are masters, they are owners, they are learners, they are innovators, they are facilitators. What are they of all of these things? They are masters of judgment and timing. They are owners of a long time horizon. They are learners of lessons out of the box that they can bring back to the box. They are innovators who are, get this one, bright and lazy.
Lazy.
Lazy. And they are facilitators of superior group process. They live by the maxim that I like, which is collaboration without consensus, because consensus is death. It's another definition for ordinary. It's the lowest common denominator.
Because there's a lot of talk about consensus and trying to achieve consensus.
Yes.
It's overrated.
Overrated.
Collaboration without consensus.
When you're in a meeting, making decisions, considering serious plans, trying to reach key objectives, certain time frames, don't you think it'd be absurd to think we've hired the most talented people we can find? We've insisted that they have the greatest educations we'd ever want from them, or the top of the line as much as possible. We'd want them to bring their ideas to any enterprise or any undertaking we've got, and bring these bright people with high energy and commitment, bring them into the room and present an issue, a problem, a challenge, an opportunity, and expect them all to agree? If they're talented, if they're independent, if they've studied the situation, we want them to agree. We want creative dissonance. So you have to create the kind of environment where you have people who can share their opinions, work on an idea at a level of maturity and trust, where if I disagree with you, it doesn't mean I dislike you, or it doesn't mean that I think you've got a dumb idea and I'm the one with the bright one. But until you do that, and if you work at consensus instead of bringing the best out of everybody with their best thoughts and their best experience, then, as I say, you've got another definition of ordinary. And consensus just ends up being the lowest common denominator. And that's what kills the business. That's what kills any organization.
Because there's a lot of talk about composite decisions are so much better than individual decisions. You would disagree with that?
Well, no. I agree that the decision process gets improved by the input of a lot of people. But collaboration isn't actually to make decisions. Collaboration is to reveal alternatives and the consequences of alternatives. And people need to discuss those things and mix up their viewpoints and all of this kind of stuff. It's the person sitting at the end of the table that's going to make the decision. I don't believe in leaderless groups. I think that's nonsense. But I do believe, for instance, there's just this view that we want harmony. Well, harmony really comes when people think their contributions have been appreciated, understood. If you have this trust and confidence that I've talked about, people learn to live with not having their way. They know that they don't always have to have their way. And my favorite person, he's dead now. He was the CEO of Sloan Kettering, brilliant man, Lewis Thomas. They just don't come any better than this guy. He was a great executive, outstanding. He said at one point, when new forms of thinking are about to be accomplished, or new music, there has to be an argument beforehand.
This is what they call about difficult conversations. You hear a lot of talk about that.
Yes. So, people, I did this, I told you about this study, this book. I found out that only about a quarter of top executives think it's important to be students of organization, which means they don't understand dynamics. They don't understand group process, really. So everybody hates the idea of meetings. They talk about meetings, how unproductive they are. They spend 17 hours a week in meetings and 6 hours preparing for them. And the only thing worse than the meeting you're invited to is the one you're not invited to. But the meeting is the place where the best ideas can be hashed out if people can build trust, confidence. And hey, I was wrong about that. You had the better idea. And you thrash these things out, and over time, trust gets built, and you get a team that's behind a decision, and they, no matter how it turns out, they're for it. And it's a real learning experience. Collaboration without consensus, it is the secret sauce.
Are there any tips for somebody who wants to implement this, who's tired of those meetings, who buys into this? How do they get that process off the ground?
When you are chairing a team, you're the leader of a team. And by the way, ideal team size is somewhere between 5 and 9. Over 9 gets too big. Less than 5, you lack energy and diversity and all that stuff. So you want the vitality, you want a group of 5 to 9. But anyway, when you get this group sitting around a table or in chairs sitting around, there is a very simple device that will set the stage for that kind of collaboration without consensus. And that is if you will just go around the circle and say, all right, here's the issue we're going to talk about today, or this is what we were supposed to study and we're going to deal with. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go around the table and everybody's going to take 1 minute to state their opinion on this, or whatever it is they want to say about it. 1 minute, nobody speaks until everyone's finished. But everybody says their piece about the number 1 item on the agenda, or whatever it is. You follow that religiously. Just a minute. You can only take a minute. And you go around the room. This is pure magic, because this creates an atmosphere of equal opportunity for influence. Because people talk who would normally stay quiet, and the people who talk too much are limited to a minute. And what happens is ideas get put out on the table, and the person who's shy gets used to hearing their own voice, and the person who talks too much hears, oh, I never thought about that. And you begin to get a feeling that in the group, there's a basis for sharing. And if you will start every meeting that way, you will be amazed at what it does for that group over time. It's just almost miraculous. And it is the simplest thing, and I use it whenever I do team building. I start every morning session, every afternoon session. Next day, I say, okay, we talked about these things yesterday. What's your take on what we said about blah, blah, and that person will do it. And we'll go around the table, nobody speak. And now you can ask questions for clarification. What did you mean when you said that? Great, that's fine. But you get people used to the sound of their own voice, and the ones who, the ones who are quiet usually have the best ideas anyway.